Why do we remember Daredevil's hallway scene? The immediate answer is obvious. It's all done in one shot, and it freaking rules. But as technically impressive, well choreographed, and just plain cool this fight is, I'd argue that none of those reasons are what make this scene so special. There's a lot more going on under the surface here than first meets the eye. So in today's video, let's explore the themes, heroism, and deeper meaning of Daredevil's most iconic battle. The second episode of Daredevil weaves several flashbacks into its narrative that focus on a single idea: Matt Murdock's relationship with his father, Jack. Jack Murdock is an impoverished boxer whose only way of paying the bills as a single dad is to throw matches for the mafia. It's a role Jack clearly doesn't enjoy, but he's caught between a rock and a hard place. By refusing to throw his upcoming match, he could be killed in retaliation. But by throwing the match, Matt won't be able to see him as anything other than a quitter. Jack Murdock, above all else, wants a better life for his son. It's why he constantly encourages Matt to pursue his education, because he doesn't want Matt to turn out like him, to become someone whose livelihood relies on dealing and receiving beatings. I don't think I have to state the irony in that wish. In nearly every scene he's in, Jack Murdock shows us how little he thinks of himself. But despite how much he cares for Matt, he doesn't believe that he's able to contribute positively to his son's well-being. After all, once he's thrown one match and taken the money, what's to stop the mafia from forcing him to throw another match, and another? He's an uneducated single father living in a tiny apartment, with the one talent he can lay claim to now corrupted by a guilty conscience and a wounded pride. It's that pride that drives Jack to bet all his money on himself and win the match in order to fund Matt's education. After being physically and metaphorically beaten down over and over again, Jack Murdock wants so badly to feel like a winner.
Just once. I want Matty to hear people cheer for his old man. Just once.
And when that moment of victory comes, Jack basks in it, even knowing that his life will be cut tragically short. Jack made the flawed but human choice to feel powerful and meaningful after being stripped of his power and meaning for so long by a system that cared only to exploit him. Jack left his son with money to educate himself, but without the one person he needed the most. After all, Matt will never forget finding his father's body in that cold alley. He'll never forget that feeling of being truly, terribly alone. That's why Daredevil's particular brand of vigilantism is so brutal. He's not just lashing out at the criminals who haunt Hell's Kitchen. He's lashing out at the world for victimizing him at an age where no one should ever be victimized. Matt Murdock intimately understands the pain of being separated from your father, the pain of having your entire world ripped away from you in a flash. So at the end of the first episode of Daredevil, when a young boy is taken from his father specifically to lure Daredevil into a trap, Matt doesn't go after this boy because it's in his job description. This is personal. Every punch he throws and every blow he endures in this hallway is personal. He fights through hell to save this boy because he's trying to save himself, trying to give this boy the opportunity that he was denied as a child, to be reunited with his father. This scene being all one shot, or at least appearing to be all one shot, works so well because of this. We, the viewer, are with our hero every step of the way. Daredevil, despite his abilities, is just a man. The enemies he knocks down get up again just like he does, turning this hallway into a gauntlet where Matt gets little rest and reprieve. As the audience, we don't get any reprieve either. We see every kick he lands, every strike he absorbs, every effort he makes to stand up for a boy for whom no one else would stand up for. And this is after losing a fight to this group previously and dragging himself half dead into a dumpster. Matt isn't fighting at peak condition here. He's fighting with broken ribs and internal bleeding and a concussion. So we understand the effort and the agony that Daredevil takes to save this one life, making him all the more compassionate and heroic in our eyes. We know practically nothing about this boy or his father, but I spent half of this video talking about Jack Murdock for that exact reason, because Matt's relationship with his father fills in the gaps of this boy's relationship with his father. In fact, for all intents and purposes, Matt is this boy. The show even goes so far as to draw a direct parallel between the two before the episode's climax. When a young Matt discovers Jack has been murdered and cries out for his father, we soon cut to this boy crying out for his father in the exact same manner.
Daddy! I wanna go home. I want my daddy.
And despite his wounds, despite being outnumbered, despite being knocked down again and again, Daredevil gets back up and walks out of the hallway with that boy in his arms.
We're Murdochs. We get hit a lot. But we get up. Right, Dad? We always get up.
You never got knocked out, my dad. I knocked down, sure, but he always got back up.
When people talk about street-level superheroes, Daredevil is the gold standard. Daredevil, both the character and the show, care about the average person. The person who, by all rights, shouldn't have a costumed hero to swoop in to solve their problems. And this extends beyond just the series' titular character to its supporting cast as well. Foggy and Karen spend time with an elderly woman whose landlord is attempting to bully her out of her apartment, not just because it's their job, but because they recognize a person in need and want to help her. Even something as simple as Foggy staying up all night drinking with Karen to take her mind off a traumatic event shows how much Foggy, and by extension, this show, cares about the layperson and the layperson's problems. You don't need to be a martial artist or a superhero to make a positive impact in your community, and Daredevil constantly reminds you of that. Of course, Charlie Cox will be returning as Matt Murdock for a new series, this time in the MCU proper. And as excited as I am to see more of Charlie Cox's Daredevil, I can't say that I'm optimistic. While I generally enjoyed Matt's appearance in She-Hulk, the fact that the creative team from the Netflix series isn't returning for Daredevil Born Again doesn't exactly inspire confidence in me. And that's not to mention that the Disney Plus MCU shows have been, wildly inconsistent at best for me, and that's putting it generously. Daredevil's emphasis on the smaller scale, street-level heroism seems like a relic of the past in this era of Disney's never-ending content machine. But the truth is that I don't have much more to say about Daredevil Born Again. The show's not out yet, and we know next to nothing about it, so maybe it will be terrible, or maybe it will be terrific. I'd love to be proven wrong and see Born Again match or surpass the quality of the original series. The only thing I know for sure is that these 3 seasons of Daredevil are special, that this scene is special, and whatever step comes next for the man without fear, that's never going to change.